Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to give a talk on reconstructing an alternative in the context of the post-earthquake 2015 housing reconstruction in rural Nepal through alternative building technology. So one of this alternative building technology that we're going to talk about is Hempcrete. Hempcrete is a mix of hemp hurts, the shives, small pieces of the hemp wood, and a binder of natural hydraulic and hydrated lime. So once you mix this stuff, you get a biocomposite material, which is usually used for an infill and insulation. Once you have a house constructed with this material, the house has properties such as being non-toxic, ecological, renewable, and breathable. So non-toxic in a sense, you are not using any toxic materials such as chemical paints or industry manufactured plastic-based materials that do not decompose over time. Ecological, environmentally friendly because you're using all the natural materials, as lime is also a natural material, hemp shives and other additives to this. Makes the walls in such, just because you have hemp shives and the lime, you get a breathability in the walls, that you have a constant temperature and moisture control. And because we are using hydrated lime or hydraulic lime, we have this carbon negative footprint that all the time the wall is sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and curing over time the walls. These walls have a compressive strength of 1 megapascal. This is a standard measurement because we are not using this wall as a load bearing. This is just an infill and an insulation. And since it is just an infill insulation, it is very advantageous to have it as a low density material, so it does not add any much weight per volume to the whole structure, making it lightweight and flexible. So that's why it becomes resistant to cracks under movement. And also, they have a fire resistant rating of 1 hour per British EU standards. That means like you can have 100 or 1000 degrees or 950 degrees Celsius on the wall for 1 hour and the wall will remain intact. And after the fire is removed, there is no more further combustion, it just stops burning. So there is no, as such, continuous burning of an initiation of a flame. So how do we make hempcrete? First of all, we have the hemp plants, which are grown all around the world. And once they are harvested from the ground, they look like this as a cross section. And these stalks are fed through a processing machine which is called a decorticator, which is main job is to separate the outer core, which is the fibers of the plant, and the inner core, which is the wood. So during the decortication process, your fiber gets separated and you are left with these small pieces of the wood which are called hemp shives. So these hemp shives are then mixed with these natural binders. Since this technology is very well documented and has been practiced around the world, companies like Tribhuvan in UK, in France, Batichandra, Vicat in France, and NLB, Equilibrium from Italy. These guys make their own binders, which is a composition of hydrated and hydraulic lime, which is pre-mixed, ready to mix. So you just take your hemp shives and one of these bags and add water, and then you have your hempcrete mix ready. For other sustainable methods, you can also use clay and brick dust, and with other additives to strengthen the mix for its curing, fast curing and drying process. You can use this, which is as a low-cost alternative method. And so you mix it in a pan mixer or any sort of mixer that you prefer, and you cast it on shuttering boards, and you cast them and you tamper them with a stick, and after a while, in half an hour, 15-20 minutes, you remove the shuttering and you have your wall ready, and it is ready to start drying over time, and it will get harder over time. So hempcrete is not a new technology. There have been a lot of undocumented data of hempcrete being existing or being used all around, but recently some of these researchers they published an article in last year in March 2016 about this Ellora caves, which is in India as a 6th century UNESCO World Heritage Site. Well, this site is very unique in its sense that it has been existing for over 1,500 years, and in that time there hasn't been any major degradation of the structure of the statues, the plaster, the painting, and every other aspect of this temple. And after using a scanning electron microscope, they were studying the material, the plaster that has been used. So this is a scan of a living hemp flower plant, and this is the scan of one of the scan of one of the plasters in these structures. So these are very similar, and they concluded that they have been using cannabis sativa, at least 10% minimum of 10% mixed with the clay and mud plaster on these temples. And this has just by using cannabis sativa in them, it has stopped any insect activity of deteriorating or with the dampening of the plaster, all the structures and everything. In other temples, when you have a lot of these stone statues, over time they weather out and then they start cracking up and breaking. But none of those things have been evident in this building, in this site. So there are a group of sites. There's Ajanta Ellora cave. They are very nearby in Mumbai, in India. So in Ajanta caves, there was no cannabis sativa used, and the 25% of all the paintings in that cave are all damaged. So this was a good indication that there has been some activity of having cannabis sativa in construction practices, at least for a plaster. Well, after that, there have been some undocumented, but people have been talked about that a lot of museums in Europe and stuff have been built with a lime-based plaster, lime-based material, natural materials. Concrete is very new, just about 100 years ago, but there have been materials that have they were houses before, and they have been using natural materials like when you boil the lentils, you get this kind of a very gluey mix that you mix with other plant-based materials to erect walls, as there have been some documents in Nepal also, the old buildings of the kingdom, of the king regime, and in the Rana regime, the houses built. So natural materials has existed, and one of the during one of these experiments by Charles Rossetti, he was trying to he was an expert in repairing old historic buildings, and he is the one who has been trying to use different materials, natural materials like lime, pozzolan, brick waste and stuff. So using all of this and hemp chips, he managed to create this mix called Hempcrete, and that's why he is called the founding father of hemp building, or Hempcrete. And he used this Hempcrete in Champagne region of France in 1986 when it started. So, and one of the first buildings that he renovated was to repair the La Maison de la Touque in Nogent-le-Seine in France. So, and after that there have a lot of he started a company called Isochambre, and after that there have been many companies and many people working together, and France is the pioneer of hempcrete construction currently in the world. They even grow themselves. They have decortication plant, the whole setup from the binders and everything. So, and even the government has certain rules and regulations, their guidelines, how to the whole detail on the technical drawings on how to build with hempcrete and everything. And even for Italy, they have after the earthquake that happened in Italy, they have started, government has started even funding the reconstruction with hempcrete as being a very sustainable, low-cost material and very easy to build in these kind of earthquake regions. Hempcrete was working in France for 20 years or so, and this guy called Steve Allen, he's the president of International Hemp Building Association. He went to France to, during his visit to France, he found out about hempcrete. And he wanted to learn and use this technology to build his own house and everything. So he's the one who went to France, learned this technology and introduced it to the rest of the world, the English-speaking world, in 1997. And after that, he has helped a lot of people in different countries build houses. This is one of the houses in USA, Nashville, built with hemp. This is a building in UK, built by a building construction company. Another building in UK, another one in UK. This one is in Czech Republic. And this is the laboratory of this building. So the designs and the technology has saturated and has become it's the right time to be building with hempcrete, since there has been a lot of research going on for the past 30 years or so. After the earthquake in Nepal, I decided to also use hempcrete to help in the reconstruction process, or to establish this kind of construction. So I had invited Steve Allen over to Nepal to help us with the initial logistics and understanding of how it can work in this. And we are working in close collaboration with every project and everything that goes on. Along with Steve, we always receive great experts in this natural building technology from France, from Luxembourg, who are clay plaster technicians. So we have tremendous support and good collaboration with existing hemp constructors and hemp organizations worldwide. So with that basic understanding of how hempcrete can be made possible, I founded Shah Hemp Innoventures, in short for SHIP, in 2015, with the main objective to promote environmentally friendly, sustainable and energy efficient construction practices, to generate skilled manpower and employment locally, and to create a sustainable livelihood model that can be replicated worldwide. I will not go into detail of the total potential of hemp, but in our company we build homes, machines, textiles, food and cosmetics, medical purposes, and for human development aspects of it. So it is a complete sustainability solution for mankind in a way. So we will currently just focus on building on the construction aspect of it. So one of the major challenges that we have faced, which we face in Nepal, is the number of construction that is required post-earthquake. Documented 500 to 600,000 houses need to be built. There is not enough materials around the country or around that can be transported and be built from a central zone, and from the central region can decide to reconstruct the whole country. Everyone, it has to be distributed and collaborated to make this reconstruction process more effective. It has been over 2 years and still the reconstruction process is very slow. So we need some kind of a solution that can be done locally instead of relying or depending on manufacturing, imports, transportation, all these logistics to get this the serious issue taken care of. The construction practices which are done in one region of Nepal cannot be used in other regions. The climate is very different. It's a very diverse climate here. And also the lack of funds that are required to build a permanent and a sustainable home is also is lacking in our country. Just because you need to import, manufacture, transport materials, the cost becomes really high. And these kind of things have to be taken care of. So with building with hemp, we can see this opportunity that there's abundant availability of natural building materials all around the country, where everyone can locally just start building right away without any necessary dependence on anything else. And since this hemp building is a very natural building technique, the main additives like clay, brick dust, these things are very known and very common to people. So we are not introducing anything new to the society. This is something which is understood and people can understand. So from my perspective, what I think Hempcrete makes all the sense to make it happen, that we can really help in this reconstruction of Nepal. So when you want to reconstruct with, when you want to construct with Hempcrete, so it's not that you have one single solution that you have to follow a basic guideline. There are many different options that you can use based on how much of money you have, how much you can afford, how much you can spend on a house. You can choose between different alternatives. If you have bamboos growing locally, you build it with bamboo. And if you have a good farming of timber around, you can build a frame with timber. Or if you want really fashionable modern look, you can go with a steel structure in it. Or these are very contemporary style, very artistic, architectural design kind of thing. So you can go with a traditional way which everyone builds with his concrete reinforcements. So you just build your whole structure with this and you infill all of these with Hempcrete. So these are all the possible structures that can withstand the load of the house as you want. For big buildings, you can either use steel columns, big steel columns, or you can have an RCC. Small houses are nice with timber, bamboo, or steel even. So it's up to personal preferences and how they want to experiment and how they want to build their house. Even for the binder, so once you have the structure ready, you have to think about what kind of binders you want to use. We talked about these existing binders and a small life cycle of lime. So to understand how these binders work, first of all you have stone, which is calcium carbonate called limestone. So these limestones are mined in the quarries and they are crushed and they are heated up in a kiln. So after they are heated up, the carbon dioxide evaporates and all you are left is with calcium oxide called quicklime. You might know this quicklime is when you mix it with water, it starts bubbling and it becomes really hot. So when that happens, you are mixing quicklime in. So when you keep on adding more water, your quicklime becomes hydrated lime. And this hydrated lime is in a powder form after it is dried up. And when you mix more water, you have a mix that is ready to be used for plastering building applications. So from this whole region is a lime putty which you use for, in this part you use for the building. If you put more water, you get more plastery kind of mix, like clay type of texture that you can put as a finishing coat rendering on the walls. And over time, once the wall is casted, and then over time, the water from this mix evaporates. The water evaporates, carbon dioxide comes in. So over time, this process will keep on happening, and at the end, you will go back to the form of calcium carbonate. So your house will end up being a limestone over a period of time when it is curing. So these houses last for thousands of years, just like those caves if they're built properly, and there's no damage with insects or any kind of termites or any sort of problems. So they even help the structure, the bamboo and the timber remain really in prime condition over time. The other alternative is by using good quality clay and brick dust with other additives. If you do not have if you're very low income, very poverty-ridden people can benefit from this alternative also. So the hemp ships. To obtain these hemp ships, we have when we grow hemp, we we harvest them, we dry them, and after they are dry, we put them through a decorticator. So this is a standard decorticator which is in Poland. This decorticator is about 40 plus years old, before the Second World War type. In those times, hemp was a very a prosperous material to work with. So a lot of these machines exist, old machines. Some machines are at least 50 feet long, which do industrial processing, 5 to 10 tons a day in a way. And you can, and these are some big ones, like these are around like 10 meters or something. And you can get other ones that are even smaller. So it depends on the volume that you're dealing with. There are capacities that can be built. So this decorticator will give you the hemp shies and the fibers. These fibers are later on used to make clothes, textiles, and all the other things, and even as a wool insulation between walls, which is really common in Europe, where you have very high variations in temperature, extreme hot or extreme cold. So once you have your binder and your hemp shies ready, we need some building tools. The main building tools to assist in the building are, you can either have a drum mixer or a pan mixer or a spray application. And the only hand tool that you need is a tampering tool, which is a mallet in this form. And you erect shutterings, and you fill hempcrete in this gap, and you tamper it with that. And as you keep tampering, you see these small layers. So these are, every layer is tampered up, and then this is how you keep continuing building a wall. So irregardless of, you can make a wall as long as shuttering that you have, and you can build. It is recommended that you build up to 3, 6 or 5 feet, 4 or 5 feet in a day, and let it set over time. If you have constant shutterings from here all the way to the top, you can build much higher. If you build more higher, you might have more weight coming down, and it might come off from here. So some of these technicalities you have to consider while you're building with it. Since it's still wet and stuff, so you cannot apply more load to it, you have to give it some time to set, a day or two, and then you can keep on constructing. So normal house can be built with like 4 or 5 people in a month or so time, a small house. So to build a small house, this is a basic outline on the steps involved in the building. So you build a foundation with a normal RCC construction, or with bricks or stones as you prefer. Fill it up with earth. You can fill it up, or you can make the floor with hempcrete, or you can use mud or clay or RCC flooring with it. And after you're done with the flooring, you erect a timber frame, steel, bamboo, concrete frame as you like on it, and even the roof aspect. Even the roof is also, the framing is done. And then after that, you just cast hempcrete all around it, on the roof and everything. You fit in your windows and doors, and then you have your final roofing material. And that is how simple it is to construct a hempcrete house. So we talked a lot about hempcrete, how it works and stuff. Now we have to understand. We all know what hemp is. It is cannabis sativa, and it is considered one of a drug. And there are big rules and regulations and confusion around in the world regarding this. It is a very beneficial plant. It has helped. It has been used for quite some time around the world. Before the Industrial Revolution, before petroleum was invented or discovered, everything was made with hemp, from hemp sails for the ships, the hemp ropes, hemp textiles, everything. There is even a documentary called Hemp for Victory, which is a promotion for before going into the World War, how hemp is a tool for victory. So it was promoted very largely, and all the technologies that we are using right now was developed during that time. And after one point, things changed, and the whole scenario has become different. So a basic classification of cannabis sativa plant, the subspecies indica and sativa. So the indica is called marijuana, cannabis, weed as you call it, and the sativa, the cannabis sativa L, is called hemp, industrial hemp. The only reason why it is called hemp and cannabis marijuana is different is because of the psychoactive content. So you have 2 to 20% psychoactive content in this, and here in hemp you have 0.3%. So this 0.3% bar on the as a limit was introduced by France to let people grow hemp and not to grow marijuana. So there are companies like Finola and all who make these 0.3% plant seeds that farmers around the world can buy, and they can grow industrial hemp. And then if you want to make auto parts, soap, food, fuel, clothing, building, everything else, you use hemp, and you only use cannabis sativa, marijuana for medical, recreational, spiritual purposes. In the UN law, they have cannabis is treated as a Schedule 1 drug categorized with heroin, cocaine, etc. So since 1961, these treaties, the 3 conventions that have put forward these treaties, but recently a lot of things has changed. You see USA is legalizing marijuana for medical purposes, which is curing cancer and doing all sorts of good to people around the world, treating mental disorders. And even in Europe, people are using industrial hemp to develop all kind of industrial substitutes of plastic-based materials. Even auto parts, BMW has been using hemp biocomposites for its dashboards for the past 30 years. Soaps, food, fuel, also biofuel. You have these hemp clothing, which are one of the best clothing material that you can wear. It protects you from UV. Even building is in its own superiority compared to anything around. Just because of this, there has been a lot of interest of companies, organizations that deal with it. This is a very nice infographic on the modern uses of the cannabis plant. So, for industrial textiles, cotton, ropes, nets, canvas, etc., for paper, for building materials, for food, industrial products, from personal hygiene, soap, shampoos, foods, granola, bird seeds, and animal feed, from cell fluid chemicals, from boiler fluid, consumer textiles, agricultural benefits. You have the THC aspect, which gives you medicinal properties, animal bedding. So it literally covers the whole spectrum of necessities or things that people need, and companies are manufacturing these. So what actually happened was, during the 1960s, there was a propaganda spread out that marijuana is crazy, makes people crazy and things like that. So ignoring everything else, they only made you look at that, look, drugs are bad in the recreational aspect of it. So, and this has really created this kind of a fear, and as a thing to stay away from this kind of plant, because it's not good in a way. But this actually helped all the modern companies flourish. So instead of industrial products, you have these companies that came up, which are using harmful chemicals, and it's created all this industry. So instead of using natural materials, we have all these polluting and petrochemicals based things, like you have even for your medicines and everything. Before even Ayurvedic, cannabis was a basis on Ayurveda also, and then that has been replaced by making all these other kind of Bayer, Monsanto, other companies. So these all companies have existed by banning all of this. So this is a bigger, and we need to understand what is actually going on what foundation our society is also built upon, to have a clear understanding on how we can move further, and understanding the potential of this and how it was really embraced in one time, and now it has become so much discarded from the current mainstream. So now things are changing, people are understanding, and awareness is coming up. And like in Europe, America, a lot of things are changing, South Africa, UK, people are understanding the benefits of cannabis, things are improving, industries are starting up, and similar things of Nepal also. In Nepal, cannabis grows widely in all regions. We have in Kathmandu, in surrounding these regions, just because of the UN Convention Act, Nepal was forced to cut down, destroy any form of cannabis that is growing anywhere. But these regions are very remote and very hard to reach. 2 days of walking type of regions. So these places police and cannot reach. So these places hemp farming, not hemp farming, hemp wild cultivation. It grows naturally in the wild, and the people living, the villagers living in that region hugely benefit from this, as they use the seeds and the textiles and other products. And for transportation of these stocks, they have to, since they are only found in some regions, in some very remote districts, you have small vehicles which need to transport this very lightweight material. So it's a highly voluminous but very lightweight material. So this also adds to the economics of the scale, that how we can manage to acquire the hemp or to promote this kind of natural cultivation. Countries like Nepal don't need any kind of proper farming or as such, because it grows naturally. Europe and other countries, they need to farm, they need proper seeds that fit their climate, because you have adverse climates from very hot to cold. So these kind of things don't exist in Nepal. It grows naturally, the climate conditions are very favorable, and this is only the things that have been documented, but I think there's almost around 40% of the land area of Nepal that cannabis grows wildly, which people don't touch. Only places where there's civilization and stuff, that places are cleared up, but other places you will just find cannabis growing wild. One of the motivations that we get from understanding the abundance of cannabis that grows around in Nepal, that you can grow your own house. Even the house, the raw materials are being grown for you just in your neighborhood. All you have to do is collect them and process them. So by using locally available materials, and this is a very sustainable way of building, as it requires very low energy and all the materials are readily available. And this is very ideal for all income classes, and even feasible for the marginalized or very poor people who do not have enough means to survive, in a sense. We did a availability of the options that we have, from the binders to the building materials. So this is just an outline of what are the stages of house construction and what options are available to us. For the foundation, just like stone, bricks, RCC. For the structure, you can use bamboo, timber, steel, concrete. For the binder, you have clay and lime, render, also same as such. Roofing materials can go from as cheap as reed, elephant bamboos, clay tiles, and graphite slates or fiber roof, as modern and as advanced as you want them to be. And you can also think about in terms of how sustainable you want these materials, what kind of sustainable materials you want to use for your house construction. So the Hempcrete application is not limited to just using machines. You also have, you can do manual mixing, which you mix by hand, and it's simple enough. It's very simple and easy to build, easy to mix also. If you have a slight, depending on the size of your project and how much time you have and how much money you have a whole range to choose from as going as 2 cubic a day, from 5 cubic a day to 20 cubic a day. So this is a whole range of spectrum of materials or applications that can be used to cast hempcrete. In a drum mixer, you have 5. It mixes quite fast. The spray application is a very modern application where the hemp and the binder, they are mixed and they are sprayed onto the wall. So this way you're just standing with a spray machine and you're just spraying on the wall. And when you have achieved the thickness, you can just level it off with a truck and you're done. And this is very fast, and it is commonly being used in Europe to do all kind of construction. You have huge supermarkets or Marks and Spencer in UK that was built by spray application, huge apartments, 6 stories, everything. So this makes really large scale projects very simple and easy to do. The cannabis plant, mainly in Nepal, the seeds are used as a food. It's a highly nutritious seed. There are some documents that says that Gautam Buddha, when he was meditating, he would eat 1 hemp seed a day. So that was his daily nutrition. That is enough to provide nutrition for a person. And in the village, wherever you go in Nepal, everyone, they know bhang seeds, and it is a traditional pickle, that chutney that people make and eat all the time. This fiber industry of Nepal has been existing for the past 30 years, and they have been for textiles, and they make all kinds of bags, mats, all the handicraft aspect of it. A lot of things is exported around the world, and it is a very good source of income for the people living in the western part of Nepal, where that is the only source of income that they have. After you extract the fibers, they do water rating, and then you can just peel off the fibers. And after you have the shives that are just wasted because they don't know what to do with the shives, the woody part. So they are either used as a firewood or a waste, and it has been traditionally used like that. And we are introducing to use hemp herds or the shives to use for building, process them, and build your houses with that in the villages. And the flowers and the leaves have been used for medicinal and religious purposes as an age-old tradition. In our Hindu culture, we have several festivals devoted to Lord Shiva, and so in this aspect, Lord Shiva and the cannabis plant, they all get correlated, and it is celebrated as a festival also in Nepal. So hemp in its seeds and its fiber has been existing for quite some time. There's nothing new for people to really think about or have a perspective into. But hempcrete is something very new for Nepal. After we did our first construction, a lot of people came and they scratched the walls and the shives come out and they're like, what is this material? And then I just tell them that it is a mixture of hemp shives and lime. They're like, ooh, lime, I know that. We used to build with those before. So there are people who understand lime and who have worked with it, and they understand the properties of this. It is really encouraging that we can use this material without enforcing any new ideas on people. These things already exist. It is just a matter. It's just before you used to write letters, now you write emails. So it is just a similar kind of thing. Before you use some other plant wood, some pieces of other wood, but now you use hemp because hemp properties have been tested and they are really efficient in their work of whatever the house needs, the property that a house needs. And there is a curiosity to understand, there is curiosity among the people who come and ask me about what are the benefits of this house and how it can do. And a lot of people are amazed by that. You can use it for an acoustic installation, for like cinema theaters or recording studios or any kind of place, or classrooms or meeting halls where you want to have no echo, very nice, pleasant sound vibrating around the house. Thermal insulation and the energy demands, like some buildings that require AC air conditioning. throughout the summer with the hempcrete wall, all of that thing will be eliminated. So they save a lot on energy and on the initial cost of construction also. So during our interaction in this 1 year or so, we have met all kinds of people. The high income groups are ready to experiment and build because they have an understanding. They know they want to try out novel techniques. They have the money. They know that it is working around the world and it can work in Nepal also. So they are creating the foundation on which the future, the other groups can also follow. And for the low income groups, which we have been working with, the ones that don't have any money, even those can benefit from this material. As a social initiative project, we build houses for people who are marginalized or in extreme poverty, who don't have anything, giving them a source, at least food, clothing, shelter, basic necessities. The middle income groups are the ones still very pessimistic to invest their money. They have a fixed money of how much they have saved over time, and they don't want to experiment that money into something new. They want to wait for others to try and test it, and then once there's a large group of people building it, once they see advertisement of it, then they would proceed in wanting to build with it. Now we come to this sustainability model. So we have seen that from our work we have understood that for in the modern times to be sustainable is very complex and everything is correlated. So first of all, make a sustainability for everybody. So one of the first things that we think is very important for people to have is a better outlook towards life, on what is important, what are life's priorities, and how they can make their life an enriching one. So, and the things that we need to live, the basic necessities, food, clothing, shelter. So you have a lot of people are creative, a lot of people have energy, ideas and stuff, but they need to be transferred or promoted or encouraged in a way that they can make an impact in their society or in their community. So one of the best things is with man and machines, a lot of things can be fulfilled. Machines will make the human labor work much more easier. So we can, with machines, building machines to decorticate the stalks, to make houses, to make spray applications, to make drum mixers, to build everything. For food, you make mixers, grinders, oil expellers, whatever you want. These are all can be done locally at a small scale in villages and all. Even for clothing, people in the village, they weave their fabric themselves. They get really fine fabric, so that is possible. And even for health benefits, for all sorts of medicinal, and just with the hemp seeds, it provides you so much of nutrition that it can keep a person healthy. Very beneficial for malnourished regions of the country where people don't have enough to eat. You give them a handful of hemp seeds, their health condition would improve. So, with the sustainability model in mind, we started a project called the Hempowering Bottom Up. So in this Hempowering Bottom Up project, we wanted to start from the bottom of the group of people. One of the main things that came up when we started SHIV was we wanted to bring this technology for earthquake reconstruction. And after the earthquake, there were so many organizations, international, national, all contributing into this reconstruction process. So much of funds coming in around the world. And in this all mess, it was very, it is still a mess, and things are slowly recovering. And it came to our knowledge that okay, these people have their houses destroyed, which need to be rebuilt. But what about those who don't have a house or will never have one? What is going to happen to those people? So, and that is a bigger scenario. Earthquake came and it went. Most people remember, most people forget. People who don't have houses are trying to live and finding a way. But we need to fix the problem from the bottom, not just take care of a small problem in the middle and let it be, and we'll see what happens later on. So with the empowering, we focus on starting from the bottom up to help help people from the bottom improve their quality of life, and starting from the bottom of the caste system. So providing a basic means for food, clothing and shelter, and this has been done by a lot of organizations, NGOs who help these poor people. They make their house and they live in there. One of the scenarios, one of the news that happened was that these NGO build some toilets for the people, and they built the toilets so nicely that everyone left their house and started living in the toilet. So and it was something that didn't fit into their as not a proper development thing. So they didn't have the NGOs built for them, so they don't need to worry about anything. So it is not even their house, not their liability if anything goes wrong. So we wanted to make sure that even after we have built the house, the owners feel like it's their house. So we force the homeowners to either you have to contribute with material resources or you contribute with your labor fully. As a part that you are building your house yourself and we are assisting you. So in this way, these marginalized communities who don't have any source of employment, they just sell a bit of rice here and there for the daily living to buy vegetables and stuff. So we want to make them sustainable in the way that they grow their own food and have a basic knowledge and stuff if they want to. And by building, you learn new skills. And since we are building all the time, they can build with us wherever we go with projects. So this is something that contributes, and it's a cyclical process, and it will keep on empowering people, learning more things, not just building, working with textiles, how to weave clothes, how to make food, how to make flour, and all the other stuffs from it, medicine properties. So it is a whole complete package which provides a good solution. So this was the house that this is the house of a lady whose husband was diseased a few years ago, paralyzed. So she lives alone with her four young children, 7, 9, 12, and 14 years old. This is just this is a kitchen here, and it's a small room inside. This is a village very near to Janakpur, so we decided to improve her house. Like she wanted a better house. We could see that if you push the house at the right spot, the whole house would fall down. So it was so fragile. So we just wanted to leave our house as it is, but improve it, give a better shelter that it will last for a longer time. This house was just built 5 years ago, but it has been worn out quite fast. It looks like at least 10 years old house, this 4-year-old house. So we decided to, this is the east face looking here, so this is the north face, and we decided to make an extra room here. And because in this room she sleeps, she has 4 or 5 goats and cattle and everything, so they all live in this one tiny room. So we decided to make another room for her. We used a steel frame, a bamboo frame. All this bamboo was acquired locally from the village around, just behind in this region. And the bamboo meshes were made by the local people. They all make this. So bamboo structure, the bamboo mesh, everything is known to the people. They know how it works, and they were the ones proactively working with it. So after we built this whole extension, this part here, another room with a bamboo frame and a bamboo mesh covering the outside and inside of the walls. So this is, and we put a bamboo mesh roof on the top, and we plastered it with clay. He's a clay plaster expert from Luxembourg, Gilbert. And we didn't use any machines or anything to build this house. It was all with hand. We mixed with hand all the hem shives, and we tamper it into the walls with a bamboo mesh on this side, and we have this shuttering which we remove after we have tampered the wall. So this house is almost is finished now, and we are waiting for it to dry a bit so that we can start plastering it and using the same color. So after the house will be complete, it won't look any more different than this house. It'll be just the same as this house, just a bit bigger, same material, same things, same mud plaster on the outside, but inside it's a totally different thing, which is more sustainable and strong and would last for a really long time for them, and very easy to maintain. He started plastering a section of the roof, but the rest of the roof and all the meshes that you see have all been plastered by the homeowner. She did all the plaster herself with her children, and it was very inspiring to see them work together and make this thing. We finished this house in a matter of like 20 days. It was a challenge to get all the materials locally and see how it works. And with this kind of project, what we saw that all the money that was used in the building, 100% of the money went to the people of the village. From the workers, from the guys who we bought the bamboos from, the guys who made the mesh, everything. So this was all contributed back to the village, and we can hope that in the future we would have more villages or more people coming together to be building more houses in this way for their own sustainability. So the guys who mixed with us, so they mixed for 20 days, so they really understand how Hempcrete works. So our future projects, they will be working with us wherever we are building now. And the same way we will want to improve our workforce and get more people to use this material. After some time, and this way we can even promote growing hemp cannabis locally so that people can grow their own house where it is needed. Even in remote regions where earthquake happen and buses or materials cannot reach, those are the best places where you can use the widely grown cannabis to build your own house. So these are the references, some of the references that we used for this presentation. And thank you very much.